two passages from this book, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. It's a pretty well-known book. I'm reading two passages that, I find could be kind of relaxing. My favorites are all kind of upsetting, so I figured I'd read the slightly happier ones. I have candles. This one I just bought today. So, here we go. June 9th, 1992. Dear friend, it is now prom night and I am sitting in my room. Yesterday was difficult because I didn't know anybody since all my friends and my sister were no longer in school. The worst was lunchtime because it reminded me of when everyone was angry with me for Mary Elizabeth. I couldn't even eat my sandwich. And my mom made my favorite because I think she knew how sad I would be without everyone gone. The halls seemed different, and the juniors were acting different because they were now seniors. They even had t-shirts made. I don't know who plans these things. All I can think about is the fact that Sam is leaving in 2 weeks to go to Penn State. And Mary Elizabeth is going to be busy with her guy, and my sister is going to be busy with hers. And Alice and I aren't that close. I know Patrick will be around, but I'm afraid that maybe since he isn't sad, he won't want to spend time with me. I know that's wrong in my head, but it feels that way sometimes. So the only person I would have to talk to would be my psychiatrist, and I don't like the idea of that right now because he keeps asking me questions about when I was younger. They're starting to get weird. I'm just lucky to have so much schoolwork and don't have a lot of time to think. All I hope is that tonight is great for the people whom it's supposed to be great for. My sister's boyfriend showed up in his Buick and he was wearing a white tails coat over a black suit, which looked wrong for some reason. His cummerbund, I don't know how to spell this, matched my sister's dress, which was powder blue and low cut. It reminded me of those magazines. All I hope is that my sister feels beautiful, and her new guy makes her feel beautiful. I hope that Craig doesn't make Sam feel that her prom isn't special just because he's older. I hope the same for Mary Elizabeth with Peter. I hope Brad and Patrick decide to make up and dance in front of the whole school. And that Alice is secretly in love with Brad's girlfriend Nancy, and vice versa, so nobody feels left out. I hope the DJ is as good as everyone said I was last Friday, and I hope everyone's pictures turn out great and never become old photographs, and nobody gets in a car accident. This is what I really hope. Love always, Charlie. Second passage is kind of a popular one, kind of what the book revolves around, but I figured it would work. Before we left the party, Sam played me a few of her favorite songs. One was called Blackbird, the other was called MLK. They were both so very beautiful. I mentioned the titles because they were as great when I listened to them sober. Another interesting thing happened at the party before we left. Patrick came downstairs. I guess Brad had left. And Patrick smiled. And Bob started to make fun of him having a crush on the quarterback. And Patrick smiled more. I don't think I ever saw Patrick smile so much. Then Patrick pointed at me and said something to Bob. He's something, isn't he? Bob nodded his head. Patrick then said something I don't think I'll ever forget. He's a wallflower. And Bob really nodded his head. and the whole room nodded their head, and I started to feel nervous in the Bob way, but Patrick didn't let me get too nervous. He sat down next to me. You see things, you keep quiet about them, and you understand. I didn't know that other people thought things about me. I didn't know that they looked. I was sitting on the floor of a basement of my first real party between Sam and Patrick, and I remembered that Sam introduced me as her friend to Bob, and I remembered that Patrick had done the same for Brad, and I started to cry, and nobody in that room looked at me weird for doing it, and then I really started to cry. Bob raised his drink and asked everyone to do the same. To Charlie, and the whole group said, to Charlie. I didn't know why they did that, but it was very special to me that they did, especially Sam, especially her. I would tell you more about the homecoming dance, but now that I'm thinking about it, me letting out the air of Dave's tires was the best part. I did try to dance like Bill suggested, but I usually like songs you can't dance to, so I didn't do it too much. Sam did look very pretty in her dress, but I was trying not to notice because I'm trying not to think of her that way. I did notice that Brad and Patrick never talked once during the whole dance because Brad was off dancing with a cheerleader named Nancy, who is his girlfriend. And I did notice that my sister was dancing with a boy she wasn't supposed to, even though a different boy picked her up at the same house. After the dance, we left in Sam's pickup. Patrick was driving this time. As we were approaching the Fort Pitt Tunnel, Sam asked Patrick to pull to the side of the road. I didn't know what was going on. Sam then climbed to the back of the pickup, wearing nothing but her dance dress. She told Patrick to drive, and he got this smile on his face. I guess they had done this before. Anyway, Patrick started driving really fast, and just before we got to the tunnel, Sam stood up, and the wind turned her dress into ocean waves. We hit the tunnel, and all the sound got scooped up like a vacuum. It was replaced by a song on the tape player, a beautiful song called Landslide. When we got out of the tunnel, Sam screamed this really fun scream, and there it was, downtown. Lights on the buildings and everything that makes you wonder. Sam sat down and started laughing. Patrick started laughing. And I started laughing. And in that moment, I swear we were infinite. Love always, Charlie.